Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg.
Every year, the Grammys promise a night of celebrating music, but somehow they always manage to turn it into something else entirely. What should be a night about artistry and talent has become a predictable cycle of virtue signaling, political grandstanding, and out-of-touch celebrity moments. This year was no different, and the backlash has been louder than ever. But why does this keep happening? Why do these award shows feel less like entertainment and more like a scripted performance pushing an agenda? Today, we're breaking down the most ridiculous moments from the Grammys, the backlash they sparked, and why these shows seem determined to keep digging their own graves. And hey, before we jump in, if you appreciate content that cuts through the noise, make sure to subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us bring you the real stories behind the headlines. At this point, watching the Grammys feels like deja vu.
We're going to be honoring the best in music as voted on by the 13,000 members of the Recording Academy and 20 million illegal immigrants. Beyoncé announced her new tour. Yes, everyone saw that. I will say though, Beyoncé, there's tariffs. We can't afford a new tour. Right? Maple syrup is about to be $50.
The same speeches, the same over-the-top statements, and the same celebrities patting themselves on the back for saying exactly what's expected of them. The problem? It's all so predictable. Take Trevor Noah's opening monologue, for example. Instead of keeping it light and entertaining, he jumped straight into political jabs, making it clear that the Grammys were once again going to be about everything except music.
And the best part is they act like their theatrics are brave and groundbreaking.
One of his biggest moments? A dramatic comment about Washington's political climate, implying that hosting the show might be his last opportunity because of supposed authoritarian crackdowns.
The diversity of voices. We've seen on this stage talented, hardworking people from different backgrounds with different points of view, and it changes the game. DEI is not a threat, it's a gift.
Really? Because last we checked, he built his entire career in the US, got his big break during a Republican presidency, and currently has a net worth of over $100 million. If this country was as oppressive as he implied, would any of that have been possible? And it didn't stop there. Speech after speech turned into grandstanding moments, with celebrities delivering dramatic monologues about how they're bravely speaking truth to power while standing on a stage in front of an audience that already agrees with them. The irony, these same artists rarely take risks when it actually matters. They say what's safe, what's expected, and what will guarantee them applause. But does anyone actually believe these performances anymore? The growing backlash suggests that audiences are getting tired of the act, and this is just the beginning, because some of the night's biggest speeches took the political messaging even further, and the reactions were not what they expected. At this point, does anyone actually believe the Grammys are about music anymore?
I want to dedicate this award to all my immigrant brothers and sisters in this country. You're loved, you're worth it, and I will always fight with you.
Every year, fans expect to see the most talented artists take home awards based on their impact, artistry, and influence. And every year, the Recording Academy proves that merit has nothing to do with it. One of the biggest controversies this time? The shocking snubs and eyebrow-raising wins. Take Album of the Year, for example. Fans were convinced it would go to artists who actually dominated the charts and defined the year in music, but instead, the award went to Jon Batiste? Again? Look, no disrespect to Batiste, he's a talented musician. But let's be real, was his album the most culturally relevant and impactful of the year? Did it outsell, outstream, or outshine the competition?
And the more voices, the more powerful the sound. When destructive forces try to burn us down, we rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
Not even close. Yet, somehow, the Grammys decided he deserved the top honor. And let's talk about the most blatant industry favoritism, how certain artists seem to win no matter what. The most obvious example? Taylor Swift winning Album of the Year for the 4th time, breaking records and sparking immediate backlash. Sure, Midnight's was a solid album, but was it really the best? Or was it just the safest choice to keep the Recording Academy in good standing with one of the biggest pop stars in the world? Meanwhile, other deserving artists were completely ignored. Morgan Wallen, one of the biggest selling artists of the past 2 years, didn't even get a nomination in major categories. Why? Because industry politics seem to matter more than actual music. And this pattern isn't new. The Grammys have a long history of snubbing artists who don't fit their preferred narrative while handing out awards to those who play along. The result? A growing sense that these awards aren't about talent. They're about connections, politics, and industry-approved messaging. Fans are catching on, and the frustration is boiling over. But if you thought this was bad, wait until you hear how the performances went down, because that was a whole other disaster. At this point, the Grammys seem more interested in making statements than actually delivering good performances. And this year, things got really weird. First off, let's talk about that cringe-worthy Olivia Rodrigo performance. She's an incredible artist, but what was up with that awkward, underwhelming stage presence? Fans were expecting something powerful, but instead, they got a dull, shaky performance that left the audience confused. And don't even get me started on how the sound mixing made her vocals sound completely off. Then there was Travis Scott. His performance had all the energy and chaos you'd expect, but it also sparked backlash. Why? Because after Astroworld, a lot of people still aren't over what happened at his concert. The fact that the Grammys gave him a massive platform without addressing the controversy? Yeah, people weren't happy. But the most bizarre performance of the night? That belonged to Jay-Z. He performed his speech like rap while literally calling out the Grammys during the Grammys. He even threw shade at how Beyoncé has never won Album of the Year, even though she's the most awarded artist in Grammy history. The irony? He was saying all of this while accepting an award. It left people wondering, if the Grammys are so rigged and unfair, why even show up? And of course, we had the usual industry-pushed performances that felt more like forced moments than actual entertainment. Certain artists were clearly chosen to be the night's highlights, while others, who actually had massive years, were left out completely. At this point, fans are over it. The Grammys used to be about celebrating music. Now, it's just an overproduced, industry-controlled spectacle where the actual art comes second to politics, narratives, and shock value. Every year, the Grammys manage to disappoint with their questionable choices. But this year, the snubs were so bad that even casual viewers couldn't ignore them. Let's start with Miley Cyrus. Sure, she won her first ever Grammy, but how did Endless Summer Vacation not get nominated for Album of the Year? Flowers was one of the biggest songs of the year and the album was critically praised. But somehow, the Grammys decided it wasn't good enough. Then we have The Weeknd. At this point, it's clear. He's done with the Grammys and the feeling seems mutual. Despite having one of the most streamed albums of the year with Dawn FM, the Recording Academy completely ignored him. No major nominations, no recognition. It's almost like they're punishing him for calling them out in the past. And let's not forget Morgan Wallen. Love him or hate him, the numbers don't lie. His album One Thing at a Time dominated the charts, yet he was nowhere to be found in the major categories. The Grammys have always had a complicated relationship with country music, but leaving out the genre's biggest star? That just proves they pick favorites. Even Taylor Swift's fans were annoyed. Yes, she won Album of the Year, again. But her biggest hit, Cruel Summer, wasn't even nominated for Song of the Year or Record of the Year. How does that make sense when it was literally everywhere? The bottom line? The Grammys keep proving that it's not about talent or success, it's about politics. If an artist isn't part of their inner circle or doesn't fit their narrative, they get left out, no matter how much they've dominated the industry. Fans are tired of seeing their favorite artists snubbed, while the same handful of names get rewarded year after year. At this point, the Grammys aren't about recognizing true musical excellence. They're about industry politics, favoritism, and outdated decision-making.
If you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off.
Year after year, deserving artists are snubbed. Irrelevant choices win, and the Recording Academy proves just how disconnected they are from actual music fans. The backlash from this year's awards is just further proof that people are losing faith in the Grammys. When some of the biggest names in music, Drake, The Weeknd, and Nicki Minaj, are publicly calling them out or refusing to submit their work, it's clear that the system is broken. And let's be real. At this point, winning a Grammy doesn't mean what it used to. Fans are making their voices heard and they're tired of watching their favorite artists get robbed year after year. What do you think? Are the Grammys still relevant or have they completely lost their credibility? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest controversies in the industry.